Good afternoon, friends from Paso Robles. This is Gina DiGirolamo with the Heart of Paso. Thanks for tuning in today. If you're just catching me right now, I'm just getting started, and today I'm going to have Traci from Wilshire Community Services talking about what great services they provide for seniors in our area, which is obviously such an important time for seniors. It's always an important time to care about our seniors and to make sure that they've got services provided to them. But so many people don't realize what's actually available for them. So if you are a senior, if you have senior parents or relatives, grandparents, whatever, you're going to want to pay attention to this episode because Traci has a lot of great resources available, and it's most of them are at no cost, if not all of the ones we're going to talk about today. So I'm just going to bring Traci in, and we're going to get started. And then I want you to also stay tuned to the end because I do have something special I want to share with you at the end of this episode today. So let me bring Traci in here. Hi, Traci. How are you today?
Good afternoon. I am doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad you're able to join me. We've been trying to get this connected for a couple of weeks now, and I think we're doing all right. We got it going.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on.
Well, you're welcome. Could you just start off a little bit, Traci, by telling us what Wilshire Community Services provides? Just a general overview. And Leslie said we're going to have a nice little discussion about it, but I just wanted people to get a vibe for a lot of people maybe have never even heard of it before.
Sure, I'd love to. So, Wilshire Community Services is actually part of a larger organization called Wilshire Health and Community Services. So, that might be what people are used to hearing us referred to as. And today we're focusing on Wilshire Community Services, which part of that division is a department that helps seniors. We call it our continuum of care for older adults. And this includes everything from light assistance, like help with grocery shopping or getting to medical appointments, all the way up to really extreme intensive case management and therapeutic services, and kind of everything in between. We have a program that reaches out to isolated older adults to provide a friendly connection. We have a counseling program where peer counselors reach out to older adults and help them to navigate the different transitions associated with aging. And then, as I mentioned, our professional therapy program that provides professional therapy in addition to case management services.
Cool. A lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff for us to dig into there. That's for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I think let's right off the bat. Well, first of all, Traci, tell me a little bit about yourself and your background on how you got involved with Wilshire Community Services, because I think you have a great background, and I think it's important for people to understand where you're coming from when we have this discussion.
Yeah, sure. I've been with Wilshire Community Services for almost 11 years, which is hard for me to even believe, but this is my home. I can't imagine being anywhere else. This is where I found the ability to live out my passion. And how I got into working with older adults was kind of luck, I would say. I went into psychology hoping to work with children, and then I just happened to fall into a position as a social worker working for Adult Protective Services in Santa Barbara County while I was working towards my master's degree. And I loved that work. I was there for about 5 years, and that is where I fell in love with the older adult population. I had never really understood that, to me, in my mind, they are one of the most disenfranchised groups. They don't have a loud voice in our society, in our community. And just seeing how most of them were struggling with very few resources, it really inspired me to work with that population, and it became my mission to hopefully help aging be a little bit easier in our society. As a social worker, though, it was a little bit difficult. I felt like I was oftentimes going out and seeing these terrible situations, but not having a lot of ability to really change those situations. And so now I had this passion, I had this mission, but I didn't feel like I had the right vehicle. And then I found Wilshire Community Services, and it has been such a great way to try to improve the lives of older adults. We have an amazing organization. Our CEO, Tricia Smith, if we come to her and say, this is what we're seeing out in the community as a need, this is how I think I can solve it, she says, go for it. And so it really gave me a chance to give older adults a voice and to help to navigate the difficulties associated with aging and to help to build resources that actually filled the need that they had. And it's been a wonderful, and with our volunteers and our staff, like they are really the feet on the ground that make my mission possible. And so I'm so appreciative of them. It's not an army of one, it's an army of 300 people really trying to improve the lives of our adults. And it's an inspiring thing to be a part of.
That's a lot of people. So let's start with that. So let's start with your volunteer group. So first of all, we know, so the community serve senior, what do we consider seniors? Is there a certain age that they have to be to receive the services?
You know, we are very fluid with that definition because technically it's 60 and over, but really we're very fluid because you never know. Somebody could be 50 and struggling with a disability or struggling with something that makes the problems look like they are associated with aging. And so really we look more at, we meet people where they're at and we look at what are you struggling with and do we have the right programs to address that? And if the answer is yes, then we're going to help you regardless of your age.
Okay, great. So, so mostly volunteers. So can you walk me through a little bit? Let's just take right now in the situation we're in. And for example, your friendly visitor program, is that what it's called?
Yes.
Okay, let's just talk about that one just to start us off.
Okay.
Because to me, that seems like such an important thing right now, obviously, for anybody, right? The isolation factor is huge in the senior community or anybody who's, like you said, with any kind of disability, illness, whatever, or just maybe they just don't have a lot of people in their life, right? So how does the friendly visitor program work and how has it been working in the pandemic, during the pandemic?
Yeah. So our Friendly Visitor Program has actually been in the community for 30 years plus. It's been around for a really long time. And traditionally, it was volunteers who went to the homes of older adults. And what is so beautiful about the program is I feel like once you reach a certain age, the questions turn into, what did you eat today? Have you taken your medication? When's the last time you went to the doctor? And you don't get very many opportunities to just connect as a human being. And so that's really what our Friendly Volunteer Program does, is it helps people to remember that they are human and to relive stories and to share talents. And you know, we have volunteers and clients who garden together and who cook together. And it's two-sided. We have clients who teach volunteers how to speak Spanish or, you know, help them with their Cal Poly courses. And so it really does help them to get in touch with that part of them that maybe they have lost sight of due to the fact that they aged. And when we age in our society, sadly, we tend to become a little more invisible. And so when we entered the era of COVID, we knew that had to continue. And we knew that we had to just change the way it looked a little bit to keep clients and volunteers safe, but we absolutely could not let it go away. And so our amazing group of volunteers are making phone contacts now, and they're staying connected that way, and they're getting creative. And they're playing Scrabble over Zoom, and they're finding ways to really connect with their older adult matches. And we had an outcry from the community when COVID first happened and the shelter-in-place order was issued. The community recognized that our older adult population was going to need help, and they wanted to find a way to help. And that was so heartwarming. And so we were able to provide even more services to isolated older adults by just providing that friendly phone check-in. Hey, want to let you know that I care about you, I see you, I'm worried, is there anything that you need? And just allowing people that human connection during this time where it feels like we're so isolated.
Yeah. And so in the beginning, when COVID first happened, and I've talked to other organizations, nonprofits that rely on volunteers, and some have told me that they had increased volunteership, some decreased, especially with the loss of the Cal Poly students and things like that. How about for you guys? What did you experience?
We experienced a little bit of both. So we experienced a decrease at first because of the Cal Poly students. But then, as I said, the community really stepped up and they recognized this is really going to impact our older adult population and I want to help. And people had more free time, I guess you could say, because they weren't bouncing from sporting event to school to this to that. So we saw an increase in kind of the family aged community where they were stepping up and saying, we want to do something. And so we've actually seen an increase in interest and volunteer participation. which has been really great because it's given us an opportunity to expand our service area. So instead of people having to go out to people's homes, they're able to connect in this really unique way. And so we can have a volunteer who lives in Paso and connecting with somebody who lives in Aurora Grande.
Here I am. Seems like we had one of those moments that I told you about that happen every now and then out into the crazy internet.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, and I'm sorry if I ask you something that you already just said, just because it might not hear it. In any case, let's see. I'm trying to keep myself focused. Sorry about that, Traci. Sorry about that, you guys. But this is live streaming. Maybe it's going to be better to take this show to non-live streaming.
I was just talking about how the benefits of technology allowed us to expand our service area. So with the challenges come a lot of benefits.
There you go. So yeah, how does your volunteer staff deal with this kind of situation? And I don't know if you talked about this, but it must be hard for the seniors, a challenge at first, right? For them, did you find resistance at first with them having to get their communication through technology and things like that?
They were actually surprisingly really open to it. The challenge was not all of our seniors have access to technology. Most of them still use flip phones or phones that don't have, they're not smartphones, and they don't have laptops. And so that was kind of the challenging part in the beginning. We were doing a lot of telephone contact and walking clients through how to connect to some of these things if they did have the ability. And then for our extremely vulnerable older adults who did not have access to technology, we did a campaign and asked the community to help sponsor a device for them. And we had such a great response from the community. And so we were actually able to purchase 20 iPhones that we could issue to clients so they could use FaceTime or some other things we could connect face to face. So it's been a bit of a huge learning curve, even for some of our staff. I mean, I had never used Zoom prior to this, so it was a learning curve. But now we're seeing all the potential, and I think we'll continue to access these things even after the shelter in place is lifted.
Yeah, definitely is. I think a lot of people have realized new ways of connecting and that it's not so scary. And if it messes up, oh, well, what are we going to do? Just like you just saw, you just keep plowing through it. If you are just jumping in, I'm talking to Traci Autry from Wilshire Community Services. And what again is the overlying umbrella company that we
Wilshire
are known?
Health and Community Services.
Wilshire Health. So a lot of people might just know you from the hospice care plan that you have in place. So let's talk about some other services. I liked the senior peer-to-peer counseling service. I think that's so amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, that is such a great program. Again, it's been in our community for about a little over 30 years, so a very long time. And it is older adults who come from all walk of life. You don't have to come from a therapeutic background or a social worker background, and they just want to give in a very special and unique way and share their experiences in a way that helps other people navigate some of the difficulties. And so they go through about a 60-hour training. We bring in professionals from the community, and they become peer counselors. And then they actually attend a weekly supervision with a licensed clinician who helps to walk them through some of the more difficult things or just to give them advice or tips on how to work with a client. And then they provide counseling services to other older adults who are experiencing difficult transitions. And it can be anything. I mean, there's been such a spectrum. We've had older adults who are re-entering the dating world, who are struggling with that and wanted counseling around what it meant to have a boyfriend at this age, all the way up to moving in with an adult child or moving into an assisted living facility, and just the very different transitions that people deal with, especially loss associated with aging, and not only loss grief related, but also loss of physical abilities, loss of jobs, etc. And so they do such a great job. And there's just an instant connection and instant rapport when you are from that peer group. And many of our clients have never had counseling before. So for them, it's a scary experience. And just seeing a peer sitting across from you makes it easier to navigate and to participate in that type of service.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, we all feel that. We all need to be connecting to like-mindedness, especially in this time, whether it's something you have in common with age or location where you were brought up or just living here. Some interest, or even unfortunately, too, if you've had a shared difficult experience, I'm sure is so important. Right.
Yeah.
That's that support, that feeling of support group. I know that I check in about 3 times a week with my spiritual community. We have a group that gets together, and it's been really so helpful during this time. It's been a blessing for sure.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you guys are in need of right now from the community?
We can always use more volunteers, especially in North County. We have a huge list of requests up there, especially for the Friendly Visitor program, but all of our programs, the Senior Peer Counseling program. So if you are interested in volunteering and want to give of your time, we certainly have a place for you to come. And if these topics are important to you and you want to give, but you don't have necessarily spare time, we are always accepting donations. Many of the things we do to keep the program running do require funds that exceed the grants and the contracts that we work so hard to obtain. And so we do rely on donations to fill those gaps so that our services can not only continue, but also improve. And we have a whatever it takes model. And those donations really help us to reach that goal. And, just spreading the word. If you are an older adult or you know an older adult who needs our services, please talk about us, because we hear all the time, we didn't even know you existed. And that's sad for us, because we want to be out there. We want to be visible. So just talk about us and spread the word.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Hopefully we'll be able to do that for you a little bit today. So what if I have a grandparent or an aunt or uncle or something? What do I need to do as far as getting them enrolled in some of your services? What's the process?
It's super easy. We try to really eliminate barriers or hurdles. So all you need to do is call our office, and that phone number is 805-547-7025. And basically anyone that you reach on that line can take a referral. And it's basic information. It's just a name, phone number, address, and why you think they need our services. And then the only thing that we do ask is that you talk to the person ahead of time and let them know that you're going to be making a referral, because sometimes if we just cold call older adults, they're really resistant to talk to us and to accept our services. And so if you just let them know, hey, I'm going to give your number to this agency. They offer a lot of different things. See what they can do for you, and then we'll call and talk and do the rest. So you don't need to know what program you're referring them to. You can just call and say they need help, and we will call and do the rest.
What's the number one more time? I'll put it up on the screen.
It's 805-547-7025.
Got that. All right, let me put it up there so people can see it. That's the number right there.
And there also is a contact form you can fill out on our website, which I believe you're also going to share. And there's a contact form they can do that.
That real quick. So here's a quick glance. So this is Wilshire Community Services.org. And then is it just WCS? There's another
WHCS.
And then there's WHCS.org. So this is the specific for the senior care. So that would be where's the form that they would fill out?
There should be a contact us form.
Yeah, so under contact.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so and here's all the information that people need here, but you could definitely look through here. It's interesting too. I noticed you have also there's rides and errands. So you shared with me before we got started too. Just until about a week ago, you weren't allowed to see anybody, and it's still very limited, correct, to see anyone in person?
Right. We are still providing some transportation for medical appointments, and we consider those critical. So we're taking all of the necessary safety precautions and using masks and gloves and trying to utilize social distancing whenever possible. But all of the services we provide are considered essential, so they were allowed to continue even with the shelter in place. But we're just taking extra precautions to make sure our clients and volunteers are safe. And then with some of the restrictions being lifted, we are now doing some face-to-face visits with those clients who we determine are extremely vulnerable and are just not doing well with the telephone contact or the telehealth contact and really do require that face-to-face. And so we are starting to see some clients who we just want to make sure they're safe and that they're doing okay.
Sure. Yeah. And it's got to help a lot of families feel more at ease to have you around, especially, a lot of people don't live in the state, and that's got to really be scary.
Yeah, we see that a lot. A lot of people trying to do distance caregiving and struggling with the guilt of not being closer and the fear. And so we love to be able to reach out and be that connection for an adult child or a family member who's trying to provide that distance caregiving.
You also have something here, a conflict resolution?
Yes, we have a creative mediation division, which does conflict resolution and mediation services. And they provide a wide range of services. They go to court and do small claims mediations. They do juvenile dependency mediations in partnership with child welfare services, and a program in partnership with the juvenile probation department. So a lot of important services are provided by that agency as well.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, something that I always like to point out is the behavioral health services. And that looks like you over there.
That's me.
But in any case, yes. So some of the health therapy or mental health that you're able to help with, what kinds of services are you able to provide people who are dealing with some mental health issues?
So most of the programs under this umbrella are covered through a contract through the Mental Health Services Act, which is this amazing act in California that provides 1% tax that goes into the community and supports mental health programs. And in our county, they chose to use some of those funds to specifically support older adults. And so through those programs, we're actually able to provide our friendly visitor program, because that is a way to treat isolation and hopefully prevent further escalation into mental health disorder. Our senior peer counseling program is also funded through that pot of money. We have another program called the Clearings Program, which is a professional level therapy program. So for clients who we identify to be just a little bit outside the scope of what a volunteer counselor is trained to handle, we send out a professional therapist to provide some sessions in the hopes that we can stabilize whatever's happening, and then they can benefit from the volunteer program. And then this also covers our full service partnership program, which is a program in collaboration with SLO County Behavioral Health. And that is a treatment program designed for older adults who are struggling with a serious mental illness. And it provides intensive case management and therapeutic services. And that's 4 contacts a week with somebody from Wilshire, helping to make sure people are safe and staying on their path towards wellness.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. You also have some nice resources here. It looks like, is this more for family members? Is education on aging?
The education on aging is the first step towards becoming a senior peer counselor, but you don't necessarily have to become a senior peer counselor. If you want to just attend that training to get some basic education on aging, then you are more than welcome. So it's open to any community member who has an interest in this topic and would like to be more involved.
Very good. And then, so just to recap, you do have physical space when we are able to be in group together. There's
Yes.
physical space in SLO and in North County and Paso Robles.
Correct. Yes, we have an office in San Luis Obispo and an office in Paso Robles, and both of them have space to do group meetings and lovely spaces when we're able to use them.
Right. So I think we've got most of the services kind of generally covered here. What can I ask you? What have you learned over the last couple months? You're dealing with the population that we're all mostly concerned of and are most highly affected by the pandemic. Is there something that you want to share with us, maybe that you've learned, or something that's touched your heart, or just something good maybe you've seen happen that might be nice to share?
Yeah, I've actually seen so many good things. As I mentioned, the community stepping up and wanting to support was so inspiring, and we get more requests picked up now than ever. So if a client asks for grocery shopping or a medication pickup, it's almost instant that a volunteer is picking that up. So just the fact that we're able to meet those critical needs, that we have a community that cares so much, that stepped up and was willing to go out and do these things, was so inspiring. And I don't know if I would say this is something new I learned about older adults. I feel like I learned this a long time ago, but it's definitely been strengthened. And that's my knowledge of just how resilient older adults are. And this is one of the reasons why I love working with this population, is because they do have so much to teach us about what it means to be kind and to be human and to be strong and to survive struggles. And they have it's been amazing to watch how the older adults in our programs have navigated this situation. And even though they're struggling and we're all worried about them, they're worried about everybody else. And they're constantly talking about how are things going in the community, and I'm worried about seeing people wearing masks. Do you think everyone's okay? And so they have so much heart, and it's just been amazing. And their willingness to jump on and try technology and to communicate by telephone and to stay connected in those ways. So the stereotype that they're stuck in their ways or stubborn, it's not true. There's so much flexibility and so much resiliency, and it's just a beautiful population to have the pleasure of working with.
I'm really glad you said that. It reminds me, my father, before he passed away 2 years ago, he was 93 years old, and he loved to embrace new things. And my sister had him on Facebook Live for her business and interviewed him. And I would put him in a VR headset and take him to different locations for him to be on the beach if he couldn't.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it was really great. But it kind of brings us back to the beginning of what we were talking about, and just that this population, how we've fallen into this thing of, are you eating, are you taking your meds, and all of that, and that's becoming all we're relating to them as. And it's a person with a whole life and such richness and stories, and like you said, gifts to give us.
Yeah, and
So
we're really missing out if we don't take the opportunity to connect.
yeah, for sure. And I remember also my dad one time telling me, I was concerned about him getting out of the car, and we were in the snow. And so he goes, I'm not made of sugar. I'll be okay. I'm not going to melt. So yes, they are much, much stronger than we know. And we do need to learn from them. And so I'm so grateful for all that you're doing with the community, and for all that Wilshire Community Services are doing. So once again, I'll just put the phone number up. If you or someone you know is in need of any of these wonderful services, if you're just catching us, you can also go to the WilshireCommunityServices.org website, and tons of free services for adults. And then again, as Traci had told me earlier, it's not necessarily an age number for seniors, but if somebody is in need, whether it is just somebody who needs a phone call, somebody to check on them, or go pick up meds, or go to the grocery store, or play cards on Zoom, and just ask them about their life, right?
Yep. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Such
It really
important
doesn't take much. I mean, if you have an older adult neighbor who you notice doesn't get many visitors, with your kids home right now, have them make a card and put it in their mailbox. Just anything to let them know we see you, we care. It really doesn't take a lot of time to extend a hand of friendliness.
Yeah, and it makes us feel good too to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Traci, thanks so much for your time. Is there anything else you wanted to share that we didn't touch on?
I don't think so. I really enjoyed being here, and thank you so much for giving me a platform to talk about what we do and my passions.
Absolutely. Hopefully the technology held up through the live stream. If not, like I said, I'm going to revisit doing interviews more once we could get closer to each other in person, and we can make it even better for people to watch and hear what you guys have to offer. So thanks so much. And for all of you watching, I did want to share something. I'm gonna share this now on the screen. Traci, I'm gonna pull you out for a second here. And there is a song that I kind of wanted to share today with you. This is from a musician called Mike Love. It's not Mike Love from the Beach Boys, but it's reggae Mike Love. And he is from Hawaii. And he has a beautiful song called Love Will Find a Way. And I'm going to try and add it here in just a second. But it's been sitting with my heart all morning, and kind of what I'm feeling today, that, we're all struggling a little bit here and there. Different days, everybody has something that they're dealing with, whether it's being a parent and kids or aging parents. And sometimes it feels like maybe this is a little too much for all of us. So I'm just going to close out with this piece and just let you know that love will find a way to find its way through all of us to get us through this. So thanks for watching The Heart of Paso.
Keep me warm, my mama. Keep me warm, my mama. Keep me warm, my mama. Yeah, like a weight of a piece on the battlefield, like a hunger homeless man chilling is only me. Like a man the doctor said would die, but he was healed and all it did was pray. I will find
like a swimming breaking through the storm clouds, like an innocent prisoner breaking out, like a warrior who wants to run in the face of fear, but he chooses to stay. Love will find
like
a
a
way.
rose going out of the concrete, like a man running marathons with no feet, like a single mother working 3 jobs just to put food on the plate. Love will find a way.
Like the blues in a symphony, like an activist who chains himself up to a tree, like a man who puts his up to follow his dreams without a penny to his name. Love will find a way. Love will find a way.
Love will find a way.
Love will find a way.
Love will find a way.
Love will find a way.
Love will find a way.
Like a farmer growing crops in the desert sand, like a masterpiece painted with a crippled hand, like a surfer towing and wearing a grin into a 60-foot wave. Love will find
Like a guitar player playing till his fingers bleed, like a piano man with thought that is playing 2-3, like a singer who was hoarse, but he still forces himself to take the stage. Love will find
Like a blind man seeing for the first time, like a songwriter finding meaning in a rhyme, like a poet who uses words as weapons and lives to fight another day. Love will
Like
find
a
a
warm
way.
of a summer breeze, like a child turning your dreams into realities, like a place where race, religion, sex, or creed or class don't ever need. Love will find a way.
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 Find a way.